So good morning, friends. Welcome to the Sutra class. We will begin with our invocation. Yastyaktvā rūpamadhyam prabhavati jagataha anekadha anugrahaya prakshena klesharashihi vishama vishadharaha anekavaktra subhogi sarvajnana prasutihi bhujaga parikaraha pritaye yasya nityam devo hishaha savo vyat sita vimalatanuhu yogado yogayuktaha yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi Abahu purushakaram Shankhachakrasidharinam Sahasrashirasam shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Shrimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha Patanjala Mahabhashya Charaka Pratisamskritaihi Manovakaya doshanam Hartre ahipataye namaha Bhashyakrit sutrakrit chapi Nirmalantam surupinam Dhyataram Shripatir Nityam Patanjalim Namamyaham Om. So, friends, we are in the Sadhana Pada, the second chapter of the Yogasutra of Patanjali, and we are actually doing the sutras which define what is called the kleshas. We have seen last week the klesha called asmita, identification, and this week we will continue with the next kleshas. The kleshas are certain things that we have that is causing us suffering. It's because we use kleshas as the source or the foundation for our actions. We base our actions on the kleshas instead of clarity, and that is why we have certain problems. Patanjali's next klesha is what is called Raga. He presents it as the following: Sukhanushayi Ragaha. Sukha Anushayi Ragaha, that is the definition of Raga. Very simply, Raga can be translated as some kind of desire. You have some desire, and that is actually a klesha, because sometimes desires can be dangerous, sometimes desires can be not fulfilled, and therefore we have certain problems. So what is this raga? Let's understand this and then see why it is a klesha. Sukha anushayi ragaha. Sukha anushayi. Raga is a feeling that we generate in ourselves that is based on a continuation of sukham, an experience of sukham, or an expectation of sukham. The word sukha means to come sukham, that which allows us to have an opening in our heart and feel joyful, feel some pleasure. For example, if you take certain situations, you go to a cinema and you watch a movie, and the movie gives you some pleasure, that is sukham. You go to a restaurant, you have a good food, it is satisfying you, this is sukham. You go to a seminar to attend some teachings, and the teachings make you happy, that is sukham. It leaves you with a feeling of pleasure. It allows you to feel expansive, sukham. So what happens is, this experience of sukham creates an expectation that the next experience will also be the same. The next experience will also be the same. So when we go to the same restaurant a second time, we have a memory that, oh, in the last time it was very good, this time it should also be very good. So we go with an expectation. That is what is called anushayi. We let the feeling in the past remain and we continue to have the same expectation. Last experience was wonderful, so let us also have another wonderful experience. This time we go with that feeling. That feeling is raga. The same when we want to go to a movie with a particular actor or actress who is our favorite person, we watch their next movie with eagerness because we think, oh, last movie was so good, this movie should also be good. So we go with this expectation. That feeling is called raga. This develops. And this is mainly because memory is usually that which cannot be removed. Patanjali talks about it in the first chapter. Anubhuta vishayaha asampramoshaha smritihi. We have an experience with an object, and that experience which remains forms memory, and it is asampramosha, it cannot be removed. So memory is fundamentally playing a role in generating this feeling because it's convenient. In that way, mind does not have to be present. It can function from the past. So we go with that expectation. The same when we are meeting people, we have a favorable experience with somebody. When we want to meet them the next time, we go with the expectation that this will also be pleasurable like the past. That feeling is easy because the memory is already there. So it generates this feeling. That is what is called raga. Now what is the problem with this is, this pleasurable experience is normally coming from the place of senses. It's coming from the place of senses. That is why the word raga has been used. And Acharya Krishnamacharya defines raga as Rajoguna Avrittam Ragam. That is, raga is a feeling that is coming out of rajas. That is coming out of the rajas, which is a guna. We have sattva, rajas and tamas. Rajas, which is the one that is getting excited easily, which is the one that is starting to move with excitement. That is what creates raga. Nothing bad about it. because we are only pursuing a joyful experience. So why should it be a klesha? People can ask this question. Why should something that we pursue, which is based on a pleasurable experience, be a klesha, be something that hurts? The answer is very simple. There are multiple dimensions. First of all, when we are functioning from that, we are not actually functioning in the present moment, we are functioning from the past. We are functioning from the past. Oh, we had a pleasurable experience and we remain there. We are not in the present moment. That is not yoga. Yoga is to be in the present moment. To be in the present moment. And this is very important, because if we are not in the present moment, we disconnect from the reality. We are not in reality when we are not in the present moment. And therefore, we don't appreciate what is happening in the right moment, in the present moment. Now, in the morning, I have coffee in my favorite restaurant, Sangeeta. So I had first coffee, and then I have a second coffee, because I like the coffee so much. Now, India is such a great country to test our kleshas, because it's normally not consistent. The first coffee is so different from the second coffee. So, the first coffee is so delicious that we order a second coffee with the expectation that, oh wow, the second coffee must be as good as the first coffee. But the second coffee does not taste as good as the first coffee. So we get disappointed, we are not so happy. But I will guarantee you, if we had had the second coffee in isolation of the first one, we probably would have appreciated that coffee as much as the first one, because that would have been the present moment. That's the reality. But somehow this problematic memory interferes. Hey, first one was better. So it starts comparing, and then it creates problems. So then, even though we have a good coffee to enjoy, and this poor waiter brings with a very smiling face, here is your coffee, and he's happy because he thinks we are ordering a second coffee because the first one was very good, and we get disappointed, we reduce the tip. It's not happy for him, poor guy, because it creates a bad feeling. So what happens when we reduce the tip? Next time we go there, he probably will put his finger in the coffee and give it to us. So we will get sick, or he will mix some tap water or something else because he is agitated with us. He has what is called Dveśa, which we will come to later. So Raga is taking us away from the present moment, because this stupid memory is coming and interfering, saying, hey, you have to compare. Previously it was so great. You have to expect the same. And this creates the suffering. This creates the suffering. The part of this, the second part of this is, very often, the expectations are not often fulfilled. When we function from memory, it creates an expectation of what we want in the future. What we want in the future, and this becomes a problem. And this is very, very important, because it does not mean that we must not have any wishes or expectation. Raga is very closely resembling what is called a wish. What is the difference between a desire and a wish? In Sanskrit, there are two words. Raga is the klesha, desire. Wish is what is called ichcha. Ichcha is a wish. And again, Acharya Krishnamacharya defines this very beautifully. Ragaha Vishayatmakam Ichchaha Atma Dharmaha. Raga is basically the one that is coming from the object. The object is generating the feeling of desire in you. You want the coffee, that coffee is generating that desire. You want a cinema for excitement, entertainment, that is generating that desire. You want another human being as a relationship, as a friendship, it's generating. That's the object generating this feeling, that is desire. That is what is raga, desire. In that way, what it means is when the object is starting to control or take dominance, the role of our self, what is called Atma, Jivatma, is disappear. It's almost like we lose our power, we become powerless. We become powerless because something else takes over. We don't see the power of our self. Whereas Ichcha, Atma Dharmaha, Ichcha, the wish that we have, is a dharma, the nature of Atma. It's the nature of the consciousness, the wish. Wish is different from desire. Desire is dominated by the object. Wish is dominated by consciousness, our Jivatma, our Purusha. What's the difference? Now, if I wished for a beverage, I'll be satisfied with a coffee. But if I am desiring a coffee or desiring that beverage, then there is a whole set of expectations of how it should be, in what form it should be, how it should taste, all these things. It's like I wish to travel. So when I wish to travel, I need a car or a bicycle, or in India, auto rickshaw, etc. There is a medium for traveling. That's my wish. I want to travel from my house to a cinema and back. I need a vehicle. Now raga, the object is controlling. The object is saying, I will give you a comfortable seat. There will be AC. The seat will recline. There will be a driver. All these expectations. The car will be red. All those things the object is deciding. So our satisfaction of I want to travel is going into the background. If we are not thinking, oh, I just want to travel. The wish is to travel. But the desire is, I want to travel in a Mercedes which is red in color, which has reclining seats, which has AC, which is driven by a driver who is wearing a suit and a hat. Now that is raga. It takes over and our power disappears. And that's why the raga becomes a klesha, because all these expectations will never be fulfilled. Will never be fulfilled, or it will not be fulfilled every time. And it takes away from the present moment of, okay, I am traveling. Sometimes we are moving on a path, but we don't see that we are moving on a path. We are more focused on what are all these distractions. What are all these distractions? Sometimes people are complaining about their governments, that it's not doing enough for them and this and that. Sometimes I tell them, well, just come and see what is happening in my country, in India, where sometimes we don't even know if there is a government or not, and who is actually the real power. So nothing is working. Whereas people who have things, they complain because there's always the expectation of, oh, I want this more, I want that more, I want this more, because that we get used to pleasurable experiences. It disconnects us from reality and the present moment. That is why Raga is a very strong klesha, because Raga is changing the way we see the world. We see the world with expectations. We don't see the world as a reality. When you see the world with expectations, it's not really real. Everything changes. Reality is something totally different from expectations. And that's what is happening in today's society. When you see so many people, we make decisions based on opinions, not based on facts. Opinions are either in the form of Raga or in the form of Dveśa. We like somebody or we don't like somebody. We like something or we don't like something. It's not important what is the fact. What is important has become whether we like something or we don't like something. That's not a strong basis to make decision, especially in a spiritual direction, in a spiritual evolution, because this can color our experiences, and decisions we take on that will not lead the appropriate results. All kleshas will eventually lead to disappointment, dukkham. Raga is not an exception. It is also the same. It is also the same. We actually will have more suffering based on Raga. Even if Raga is a pleasurable experience that we are pursuing. Raga can take many forms. Raga can take many forms of kama, lobha, etc., where there is lust, there is greed, there is the concept of accumulation, hoarding. So Raga is not only a kind of a desire where, oh, you desire an ice cream or you desire a chocolate. It is, sometimes it is manifesting in other forms, lusting behavior or greedy behavior. You want to accumulate everything, you don't want to share. You want to hoard things, you want to collect things, you want to have lots and lots of things because that gives you some security based on some desire, but it's not going to fulfill. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a very fantastic model that Krishna is presenting. He says Raga is like a fire. The more you feed it, the more fuel it will ask. The more you feed it, the more fuel it will ask. So if you have a particular desire and you take some steps to fulfill it, then it will ask you to have more fuel so that that is fulfilled. Okay, I have a desire to buy a telephone. Okay, I want to buy an iPhone. So I stand in line for 3 hours in front of an Apple store to buy iPhone because there is such a long queue. Then we are so excited that we have an iPhone. Then the iPhone we have, suddenly we realize, oh, it's not enough to have an iPhone. I have to buy some more apps. So we download some apps, we pay some money, we buy some apps. Now that app has built-in purchases. Oh, I buy a photography app because I like photography. Then I pay $3.99, I buy this app. Then I realize that once I buy that app, it comes with 1 or 2 filters, but if I want more filters, I have to pay more filters. So I have to feed that. Then I am so excited by the filters, I start taking photographs, I start sharing it with people. Suddenly memory is finished, I have to buy more memory. So the chain goes on, it never stops. That's why Bhagavad Gita is saying that Raga is like a fire which will never be satisfied with whatever fuel you are offering. And eventually it will only lead to suffering, because either it will burn you, it will consume you because it is so powerful fire, or it will somehow dissipate and it will cause you to suffer. One way or the other, raga is a klesha that eventually leads to dukkham. The brother or sister of raga is dvesha. Dukkhanushayi dveshaha. It's exactly opposite. Dukkha anushayi dveshaha. Just like raga is what follows sukham, dvesha, what is called aversion, is what is following dukkham. Now, you go to a cinema, or you go to a restaurant, or you meet a person, and there is developing a relationship or an experience that is not giving you satisfaction. It causes dukkham. Dukkham, dushtukham dukkham. It constricts you. It constricts you. It feels, it makes you suffocate. It doesn't give you a good feeling. Tamo guna avrittam dukkham. Dukkha arises out of tamas. That's why it's very dangerous, because tamas is heavy, it settles, dukkham stays. We are remembering more suffering experiences than positive experiences. You take many relationships where people separate. Now, people may have had hundreds of good experiences, but a few bad experiences is enough to cancel the relationship. You may have had 20 nice experiences to your favorite restaurant, but one or two bad experiences is enough to stop you from going there again. That's the power of dukkham. Tamo guna avrittam dukkham. But again, what Patanjali is saying is, hey, fellows, be very kind to the world, because not every time that you have a bad experience, it means something is bad. It may be 1 or 2 days where something goes wrong, because nothing will go always positively. The world will go up and down always. Nothing is going to be smooth. Now think about it metaphorically. When you go to a hospital where you are admitted, and sometimes they are putting this heart machine to check your heartbeat. Now the machine is going up and down, right? Now, when does the machine go flat? When we are dead. So that's the same with life. When things are not going up and down, actually it's dead. So there will be moments where things will be in sukham. There will be moments where things will be in dukkham. Things will go up and down. Not every day this poor cook in Sangeeta will know how to make the right coffee. Maybe one day he has a bad day. When he's mixing, maybe he's mixing too much milk one day, or too little coffee one day. Maybe he's having a bad day. Maybe one day there's so many people that he's in a rush, or maybe he had an argument with his wife in the house in the morning and he comes with that mood. We don't know. It's possible, because humans have a great gift. What is that gift? We make mistakes. We make mistakes. We are not perfect. We are not, how do you say? We are not machine made where everything is precisely functioning all the time in an appropriate manner. So there are days and moments where there will be dukkham. What's the problem? That dukkham goes into our memory card. It goes into our memory card in our brain, in our heart. And therefore we project that, okay, I had a suffering, I will always suffer again. I will avoid this restaurant, I will avoid this person, I will avoid this experience. That again is wrong, because that may not be the reality. That may not be the reality, because you are functioning from memory. You are not functioning from reality. And sometimes by doing that, we will suffer, because we may miss out a positive experience that may happen later. We may miss out a positive experience that have later. Another important thing is this. We are dealing with people most of the time, whether it's in our family, whether it's in our job, whether it's in our vacation, in a hotel, or whatever, we are dealing with humans. And like I said before, humans have the tendency to make mistakes. Now, every time a mistake happens and we avoid that human, eventually we will be lonely. Because we will have nobody in the world to relate with if we have aversion to people who have made mistakes and who have caused some suffering. Now, the difference is we have to understand, if the intention to hurt is there, then we can avoid somebody. But if a suffering happens because there is a misunderstanding, or poor guy is busy, or some made a mistake, he got confused, that's different. But if the intention to hurt you is there, that's different. You should avoid such people. You can't live with somebody, or you can't be friends with somebody who want to hurt you again and again. Or you cannot go to a restaurant where they are intentionally mixing diarrhea pills in your food every day. If you know that they are intentionally doing that, you can't go there. But if one day some bad experience happens, or 2 days a bad experience happens, or 3 days a bad experience happens, it's okay. Because maybe there are other days where things can go right. So this is very important, because if we start rejecting and having aversion to objects or people that have caused us some suffering, we will avoid the whole universe, we will isolate ourselves. And as human beings, by nature, we are social beings. The most severe form of punishment for human beings is isolation. You know, when people are sentenced in court, sometimes they say this person will have to be sentenced to prison in isolation. That's the worst punishment. And there is nobody to talk to, nobody to see. Now, Dveśa can sentence ourselves to that judgment. If we are starting to have aversion to all the people with whom we have bad experiences, we will give that sentence of isolation to ourselves. Nobody will be there. Nobody will be there. And that is what many people are starting to do today. Where people, because they have bad experiences, they want to avoid. Because it's easier to remember bad experiences than good experiences, because the dukkham, the bad experiences, are based on tamas. Tamas is very sticky. Tamas is sticky. It sticks. It's not like rajas, which moves. That's why joyful experiences, we forget easily because it moves very quickly. But the bad experiences, we hold it because it sticks. Tamas is connected with water and earth element. It's connected with kapha, moisture. It sticks. So that's why many people ask the question, why we remember bad experiences? It's very much because, like what Acharya Krishnamacharya said, tamo guna avartam dukkham. Dukkha comes from tamas. And it remains there. It refuses to leave. If you ask so many people, they will only remember the bad experiences for a longer time, not so much positive experiences. If you ask people, it's so easy for us to get negative. It's so difficult for us to remain positive. Because the tamas that is so sticky is keeping us there. Even in the healing path, in psychotherapy I have seen, in psychoanalysis I have seen, in yoga I am seeing, in many other non-yogic spiritual traditions I see, when people are going through their process of moving away from their suffering towards positivity, step by step when they are trying to become more positive, they are pulled back by the power of tamas. The dukkha pulls them back. The dukkha pulls them back. It's what is called punaravritti. It takes them back to the old place. So even when they are improving, the tamas pulls them back and says, hey, you had suffered. Don't forget your suffering. Don't forget your suffering. And that is the problem. Sometimes this suffering is transgenerational. It goes beyond our own lifetime. Look at some of the conflicts people have like some religious conflicts or some political conflicts and things like that. The problem started thousands of years ago. You take the Middle East conflict between the Muslims, Christians, and the Jewish people. The problem probably started 2,000 years ago, some dukkham. Probably it would have started as a very small dukkham. Maybe somebody said something to somebody else, and then it starts to build. And other things start to get added to the old conflict, and it becomes bigger and bigger. And that is the theory of tamas as a sticky thing. What is sticky? When something is sticky, other things get stuck on top of that. So a small problem you may have, that can become bigger if it's not resolved immediately. And if you delay it, there's more things start to get stuck. That's why there is so many problems in human society. For example, when we grow up, sometimes a brother and a sister can have a small argument about, oh, I want this gift, or maybe the mother or father brought two gifts, and the brother wants this, the sister wants the same thing. Now, there is a fight. It's a very small problem. Maybe it's even a small chocolate. One is red, one is white cover, and they fight for that small thing. Now, if that dukkha is not resolved, next time something happens, maybe they are watching TV and one wants this channel, the other wants that channel. That fight continues on what? On the old dukkha, which was very tiny. The tamas makes that second conflict stick on top of that conflict. That's not resolved. They keep fighting, and the mother just pulls them away and does something. There is no resolution. Next time another conflict happens, it sticks. Tamas is sticky. Dukkha is very sticky. And sometimes that's why when a guest may come to the house, the brother and sister have never met that guest before. They have never met that guest before. The brother likes the guest. The sister, who never has seen this guest before, starts not liking the guest because the brother likes the guest. Another layer of the problem. That guy probably smiled at the brother. That sister gets even more aggravated, saying, see, he smiled at him, not at me. One more layer. That's what happens with Dveśa. And Dveśa is much more dangerous than Raga, because Dveśa is more powerful, it's heavy, it's dark, it takes over much more easily. At least Raga is coming from a place of expectation of joy. Dveśa is very sticky. It's so powerful that it can really consume a person. That's why Krishnamacharya says there are manifestations of Dveśa, like rage, like violence, malicious behavior. You want to intentionally harm somebody. All these are expressions of Dveśa, and sometimes the darkness is so powerful, it happens unconsciously. It doesn't even happen consciously. That's another problem. It grows so strong. So that's why Patanjali says this is a klesha we have to be very careful with. That's very, very strong. In Bhagavad Gita also talks about Dveśa, Raga, Dveśa, Viyukteshu. We have to be disconnected from both Raga and Dveśa because both are powerful kleshas. And they can consume us, and they will only lead us to suffering. Dveśa is more straightforward. It's more straightforward because it comes from dukkham. It will take you towards dukkham. Many people who have had trauma, if it's not resolved, it sticks. Then other things start to build on that trauma. That's why trauma therapy is so difficult in adults. Because adults have years of accumulation on top of the original trauma. Whereas with children, the accumulation has not happened so much. So sometimes it's very easy to move that energy of Dveśa, energy of trauma in young children, and it's the best time when the trauma happens to deal with it. And that's what Patanjali also says. The commentators also say, when dukkha happens, deal with it, don't postpone it. In modern era, we have some problems with people. We don't speak about it because we say, I want to avoid conflict. I don't want conflict. I don't like conflict. But we don't deal with it. So what happens? That conflict grows. 20 years later, it will explode. We will be sitting in a psychotherapist's office and exploding our hatred, exploding our anger. You know, poor therapist is listening to you only because you're paying. He or she will never listen to all this when you're not paying. You know, but that's what happens, it grows. So it's almost like when dukkha happens, it's very important that immediately it's resolved so that that tamas does not stick. It does not stick. Like when you pour some sticky liquid in your t-shirt, it's important that you wipe it off immediately. Otherwise, it goes deep and it remains and it remains and it remains. Maybe if it's sticky and you leave it, maybe it also accumulates some dust and the dust starts sticking on that. So it becomes more heavy. The same happens to our psychological structure as well. So that is why Dveśa should be avoided as much as possible. In the modern era, it's very difficult because a lot of people are promoting Dveśa because we disconnect ourselves. We have hatred from one group to the other, one religion to the other, one race to the other, one gender to the other, one belief system to the other. Even in yoga schools, in the yoga field, people are having hatred from one school to the other. Oh, that school, we don't like them, we hate them, and this school, we don't like them, we hate them. We start creating conflicts. And sometimes there is no reason for that conflict except our ego. Except that ego. Because when we have dukkha, normally the ego is hurt, not the consciousness. Consciousness cannot be hurt. Fire, water, wind, earth, space cannot destroy consciousness. That is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, because consciousness is beyond matter. What is hurting is the ego. And that's what we have to think about even in relationships. What is getting hurt? Is it ego? Where are we connecting from one individual to the other? Is it the ego or is it the place that is beyond the ego? And that's when we will have a disconnection from Raga and Dveśa and their manifestations. The manifestations of Raga and Dveśa, they are very, very dangerous. So this is the two sutras that is explaining the kleshas called Raga and Dveśa. Sukhanushayi Ragaha, Dukkhanushayi Dveshaha. Thank you, friends. Namaste.